Hey everyone, I'm Humby. I'm the video editor for the channel and I have a quick update. So I'm new to video editing, and as I learn more about it and the card games that we're playing here on the channel, the podcast and the channel are going to evolve with me. They're going to change with me. I'll also be bringing other TCGs into the channel, so be ready for that. Be on the lookout for the next video. That's about it, really. Thanks for coming on this TCG journey with us, and please enjoy.
Yeah, let's just get a metronome, man. Oh yeah, one of those.
Bling. You have a lot of notes. I barely have one on me.
Okay, well I didn't write this. This was Jeff and Humby, I think.
And mostly, I think it was mostly Humby. Remember?
All right. I thought we could do more of an in-depth analysis of Virtual World today.
I thought pretty much we talked a little bit more.
Yeah.
From last
So
time.
let's talk about playstyle, just because I feel like they're a pretty unique archetype in the way that they play. Because a lot of the time they're playing from their hand, and they're a combo deck.
Yeah.
As well as, you know, the other combo decks in the format, but they're able to play through hand traps in a different capacity than the other decks are because of the way that they're activating in hand and then getting everything done while they're doing that. So let's talk about possible interactions with what they do in their end board, which is often the VFD plus the continuous trap that pops a face-up card. And the fact that the face-up card doesn't have to just be the opponent, it can also be their own face-up card, is extremely relevant because it allows them to play through stuff like
Mine and all that.
Yeah, they can play through Mystic Mind just on the continuous trap alone, but they can play through stuff like Imperm, they can play through stuff like Dark Ruler No More, they can play through stuff like Droplet, dependent on what they discard for cost, and a lot of the time most people aren't going to have like traps to discard. I mean, it is dependent on the deck that they're playing. So it leaves the like player in a really awkward position because there honestly really isn't much that they can do depending on what they're actually maining.
Yeah.
So let's talk about possible interactions that you can do with the VFD plus trap end board that they make. And so let's try to figure out some of the like more realistic outs that a person can main board to counteract that. So the first one is probably the Gamma package.
Yeah.
Everyone's been seeing the Gamma package being played recently just because of the amount of hand traps people are playing just to counteract against combo decks and be able to play on their own turn. And we see a lot of people maining from 12 to 15 hand traps. Just so that they can realistically open at least 2 hand traps, taking into account probability. So, are there any other cards that you think might deal with the VFD plus continuous trap end board they
They'll
put
probably
up?
activate it like either like standby phase or main phase. So probably Imperm. Imperm is always good.
If
on activation.
The problem with the Imperm though is, so what they can do is, let's say they activate the VFD, to try to bait anything. You chain the Imperm, they can at that point chain the continuous trap to pop their own calamities so that it will resolve.
Yeah.
With effect. So, and that's a lingering effect. And so at that point, your opponent will be locked into the VFD for the turn. And at that point, Virtual World is so good with having resources that are live in their graveyard. I played the deck on release, and so I got a good amount of testing with it prior to it like getting the acclaim that it got with the LCS. And so a lot of the times they have resources in the grave and the continuous spell that they can banish for the following turn to get searches, or if they use the I'm forgetting the name, but the one that adds back during the end phase, they usually have a resource in that. And a lot of times they're also drawing while they're comboing off so that they can draw into hand traps, they can draw into possible extenders as well. So you are put in a really awkward position. And the trap again deals with stuff like Dark Ruler No More, because let's say you don't activate the VFD before going into main phase. Your opponent activates the Dark Ruler No More. You can then chain the trap to pop the Dark Ruler, and then you can chain the VFD to your own trap and completely just get around the Dark Ruler No More. So realistically, Gamma is really, really good, and so is Those are the fangirls in the background. Yeah, yeah. No, and then also the Nibiru is really good if they don't open enough.
Yeah,
extenders.
Nibiru's mostly on like their turn.
Yeah. Let's talk about what happens with the deck if VFD gets banned. Do you think that it can still be a contender?
Well, I'm gonna go back a little bit for the last. I think that's why a lot of people are like. I think floodgates are kind of coming back a little bit with the release of Virtual World. Like summoning limit, there can only be one. Skill drain. Some people meaning skill drain.
The one that actually won the LCS was main decking the skill drain. I believe.
Yeah.
But the skill drain, it's funny because essentially the virtual worlds, because they activate in hand, they can get around the skill drain. So they can actually play around skill drain relatively easily.
Yeah, I guess because the trap can just pop it too.
Yeah, or if it becomes a detriment, you can just pop the skill drain.
Because eventually you would have to pop it because you want to get your BFD and all that to go off. So yeah, that makes sense. All right,
what happens if VFD gets banned? Do you think that Virtual World can still be a contender
if it gets banned?
Okay.
I don't think it'll be like a. I think right now it's like a tier 1 deck. I don't think it'll be tier 1 anymore, honestly.
I think the VFD is honestly the gas of the deck.
Yeah.
You take away the VFD, and they're honestly kind of crippled. They become somewhat mediocre just because the VFD is the entire choke point of the deck. And so people, I'm in the VFD, the Virtual World Facebook group.
Yeah, that sounds like a cult. The VFD.
Honestly, I feel like all these Facebook groups are kind of cultish.
There's so many, it's crazy.
And you get like a wide range. You get like the competitive players, you get the obviously casual players, you get like the medium players, and it's like really funny like seeing certain texts come through where like, for instance, some of the casual players will be like, oh, like, are you playing this in your Virtual World deck? And more often than not, they get shut down like immediately because people are like, oh, like, you're shit.
Yeah, like I think most virtual decks are pretty similar right now.
Yeah, and so people are talking if VFD gets banned, what happens is the deck can, they can also be a hand loop deck in the form of the XX Saber Gotems, where they synchro that first, they tribute it off, and then they just keep bringing it back with Cloud Castle, or eventually they make like a Trish, and then they like make the rank 9 that is like a Trish, and they just banish a random card out of your hand, and they can essentially hit 3 cards out of your hand relatively easily, and if you're playing enough like bricks or extenders or whatever, they can actually loop your entire hand if they open well enough. But at that point, the deck does get a little gimmicky. And so again, I do think it would be kind of mediocre in the sense if VFD does get.
I feel like it might get hit. I don't know about bound right away. Maybe he'll go to 1. It's at 3 right now, right?
Yeah, it's at 3.
Like 1.
VFD is just like one of those floodgates that has been unchecked for a really long time.
Yeah.
And I feel like because of Virtual World coming into the limelight, people are realizing just like how much that reduces interactivity between both players. And we see cards like that on the ban list already. I mean, you can think about like the Elder Entity XCs that got banned not too long ago with Lunalight, where they would, like the Azathoth, they would make it so that your opponent couldn't interact with hand traps and stuff. But this is just straight up just blocking your opponent.
It just stops your turn. It's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of the times, if you don't open well enough, you can't even play around it or do anything, And so it's.
Why do they be making these cards, man?
For real. I don't know.
I guess.
But I guess we can talk about Virtual World and their position in the current metagame. So after seeing them win the LCS and seeing their representation go up in numbers in tournaments and stuff, I think I can honestly say that Virtual World is a contender for the current metagame just because of not only representation, but like the fact that VFD plus continuous trap is extremely scary. But like let's go ahead and talk about like the other meta decks. So like what would you put as tier 1?
I know, well, because we've only had the online tournament, right? The LCS.
Yeah.
But we also. Oh my die! We're gonna have one in there. And the what's it called? We had that PPG, that regional one, the live one. I don't know if you've seen it.
We had the extravaganza recently too.
And then because there's been different decks, like Virtual World 1-1, one Dino, and then Zoo 1-1. I feel like those are probably like one of the top 3 decks right now. Dinos, Zoo variants. The other Zoo is pretty strong too, and then the Virtual World.
Yeah, it's just really interesting to see how like current decks are playing.
Yeah,
and I mean, you look at Zoo and how Alpha, and then
Alpha's a really good card right now.
And the Double A Zeus just completely brought that deck back into. Dryden getting unbanned too is pretty nice, but I'm saying like
Zeus is really strong.
Zeus is just crazy.
Just the fact that it's a quick effect that you can just keep on doing it.
Like, I know some players have talked about it, but in the Zoo deck, what a lot of people are doing is they're siding Mystic Mine, and so they are going second, or they activate Mystic Mine. They make the I forgot the name of the little bitch that just pokes. Attacks directly.
The Borbor.
The Borbor. And then they just stack the Double A Zeus on top.
That's how like most of their like main plays are. They just build all the exceeds. They overlay the Borbor, attack. They don't really do anything. They usually don't have an effect unless the Imperm. Imperm messes them up really bad. It's just he becomes 0 and he has to attack him. And then the main phase 2 overlay Zeus. Get rid of the foot. It doesn't even destroy. It just like
just
sends
them. Yeah, that's
what makes it even more like busted.
And then on top of the fact that it's not even once per chain, so if you manage to make a Double A Zeus with foreign materials, you are just like able to break boards super easily, because let's say they do have one interruption.
Yeah.
More often than not, they are going to have one interruption. Then you can just chain to your own Zeus, and it's actually just insane. But
strong card.
Yeah, so that was actually really, really good support that they got out of Phantom Rage.
That's one of the better supports from the set.
Yeah.
Most of them were just pets for support for like older decks too.
I mean,
like Phantom Knights and all
Prank
that.
Kids got the Link one, which is actually really good for the deck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's like a pretty nice rogue contender. Let's talk about like Eldritch. Do you think Eldritch is seeing more play now because of, you know, it just being a really strong trap deck that hasn't been checked here in the TCG?
I feel like it's yes and no. Eldritch is one of the stronger decks, and that deck you can just run like so many different variants with it right now. There's like the Gamadica one.
There's the Invoke.
There's the Numeron.
There's
the Pure. I feel like Pure's starting to see a lot of more play now. I think Pure's going forward to be one of the stronger variants of of Eldritch. But we'll see. It's always different here.
And what are the differences between those variants? I'm not very familiar with Eldritch or the way that it's built, but I mean, you have some experience. So like, what is the Eldritch, the pure version playing that like the Invoked or the Dogmatica version isn't playing?
Well, like myself, I play pure, so I run more Floodgates and more hand traps. I run like the Gammas, the Ashes. I have like the Imperms. There's a lot of stuff to stop the current meta, or try to stop. I don't know, some of these decks, you just keep going and going, like Dragon Link. You stop them for a little bit, just you always have to get another card to go, and just go and go. It's crazy.
Yeah, we can talk about kind of how the power creep and just the way that decks are able to play through at least one hand trap. You look at Dragon Link, and if you have one hand trap, more often than not, they are still able to extend. You look at Infernoble, and they're able to like make a sold without even using their normal summon.
Yeah, like I think the top 3 meta decks,
you know,
like
they
meta combo decks, like I don't know, one hand trap is not enough for them.
And you look at our trends versus OCG trends, where more often than not in their builds they're playing like their hand traps could be just like triple maxi and like 2 or 3 other hand traps, versus here, like I talked about earlier, we're maining 12 to 15 hand traps in most decks.
Most decks have to, I feel like.
Yeah, they have to, just so that they're able to play.
They play next turn. I don't know, because Infernobles and Dragon Link are kind of similar end boards. With the Herald, the Borrelord, the Savage, and whatever else that you run. It's kind of annoying, honestly. But
I mean, let's talk about it though. Like, let's say that all of the current meta decks get checked. Okay, let's say. I don't want to have like a banlist speculation video. We can talk about that another time. But like, let's say they make enough decent hits. Okay, let's say they make a substantial list where they're giving nice checks to all of the current meta decks, but not in the sense where it was kind of like what they did with Sky Strikers and Thunder Dragons in that other list, where they completely like flipped the table and they banned Engage, they banned Colossus.
It wasn't right away though.
Yeah,
like,
I mean that deck, those decks were
right.
Right. But I'm saying, like, let's say they give enough and severe enough hits to these meta decks to the point where the pie chart is just like insane, and we see like several or 8 contenders for those top decks, you know, and how that might shape our own main decks again, because we're playing against these decks that are so versatile currently. Again, we're playing such a large number of hand traps, but let's say they get hit, we're probably just going to cut down on the amount of hand traps back to boost the consistency of each deck. I can
see that. I think that's why Valor kind of came back. Just stopped. Because he's not once per turn, so you can keep on using it.
Valor's like relevant also in the fact that, like, for instance, in like a deck like Sky Striker, they're able to make big pushes because of cards like Halka-Fibrax, where they can just like normal Valor, make Halka-Fibrax, bring out another tuner, make the Selene, and then do the Selene into access code.
The Needle Fiber.
Needle Fiber is gonna get checked one way or another, and if not Needle Fiber, then
it's part of like
Link
2
Cross.
of the main like big combo decks. They're for Nobles and the what's the other one? I forgot the other one actually, but
Link Cross.
No, the Needle Fiber.
The decks that use the Needle Fiber.
It's no, for Nobles. I just forgot the other one right now. Can't think of it. It's still a powerful card though.
Yeah. Well, Dragon Link is...
Yeah, Dragon Link, my bad. I couldn't think of it.
You're good.
Dragon Link. Such a deck.
Yeah. What else? Did you want to talk about anything? Like, there's new product coming in December.
Yeah, in a couple of weeks, December 18th, I think, we get the Genesis Impact, right?
And
Genesis Impact.
In Genesis Impact, we get Draytrons, we get Evil...
We get a lot of new archetypes
coming
in. So, what's the Daytron? The live... Evil Twins.
Yeah. Do you think that they?
What else? There's something else in there, no? I feel like there's more.
Yeah, there's one more, and I think it was like a waifu deck. But was it a waifu deck? Do you guys remember what the
last?
No.
It's like 3 archetypes, right? It's usually 3.
I feel it is 3, but I
3.
feel like people are more excited for, I think, the other 2.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't even know how strong these decks are gonna be. I still think I'm waiting for the balance too. There's a lot of
Yeah, how did I forget them? They're actually somewhat relevant too. Yeah, they're really good.
They're played with Invoked, aren't they?
Yeah, so a lot of it kind of changes the Invoked engine for some people, because right now, in the Dogmatica Invoked decks, how did we completely skip out on them? They're still relevant too.
Yeah,
they're a really good deck.
I don't know. I don't think I've seen like a really strong like rogue deck. I don't know why.
I think they're tier 2. I don't think they're tier 1.
No.
But they kind of went down the tier list. They're still really good because of Winda. Winda alone can just
still
lock cards like completely
how long has Winda been out?
Man, Winda's been out since 2014.
14?
I think.
Like 14? Like 5-6 years. Oh, that's probably one of the best. Like.
And that card is just insanely good.
They brought out the most popular decks like ever, I think. That's crazy.
But yeah, with the Dogmatica Invoke deck. So what they're doing is they normal summon the Alistair.
Yeah.
They link it into an Almirage, and then they link the Almirage into the
Gardna.
The Gardna. And then that gives them their light target. Yeah. Whereas now they may not need the either of those targets, and they can just run the Link 1 Magistus and link into that. Because it's a light also. This is also a nice little boost for Shadal, because this gives Shadal's a light target that's just super accessible with their extra deck. Same thing, if they're running the Invoked variant, they can just normal Alistair, make that, and now they have a fusion spell that they searched off of Alistair and a light target on the field. So
yeah, I forgot about that, but that's probably one of the stronger ones of the 3 archetypes we're getting in December. I think it'll be a really fun deck too. I don't know, especially with these all events. Like, we're not getting events probably till I don't know when, but It's always nice to have a fun deck or something to play.
Speaking of events,
homies.
like we have really, really good ideas.
Yeah.
Once events start picking up again, we have an idea where we want to interview a Yu-Gi-Oh player and their girlfriend, and then we also want
I
to.
know.
Well, I mean, I think it's funny. Like you go to events
Yeah.
and you see the Yu-Gi-Oh players that do bring their girlfriends,
Mhm.
and like 99% of the time, they're just like straight up on their phone and like waiting.
I feel like something they could do though.
Well, I mean, exactly. And then like in between rounds, they like
Just talk a little
go
bit.
say hi to them and like talk to them. But I feel like they're not even paying attention to them because they're like telling their opponents about how like they scrubbed out or how they like made a misplay or how they wrecked someone or whatever. And so you're just
Honestly, I don't think I'll feel bad if I took my girlfriend.
yeah, I
to,
would
like,
never
an
take
event.
my girlfriend to an
But
event.
like at
She'd
the
kill
same
me.
time, like I know I feel bad, but say that'd be kind of cool, you know, having your girlfriend there.
Well, I mean, it's
like, at events
different.
with you.
Like,
It's
let's say
kinda
you
just
have
pretty cool.
a Yu-Gi-Oh player girlfriend,
Yeah.
you know, then I feel like that would be really, really cool because you can like tell them and they would completely understand what you're saying. Whereas like my girlfriend has no idea what I'm fucking talking
Yeah.
about, and I like tell her I'm like, oh yeah, like I did really well at this event because I did this play or whatever.
Even at local level, and you just text your girlfriend, "Hey, I just won local." She's like, "Oh, okay, that's cool.
That's cool.
That's cool."
Yeah.
Like I'm like, "Oh, okay, for sure."
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, like, think about it. Like, let's say you do have a Yu-Gi-Oh player girlfriend. You guys
Yeah.
could just hang out and duel sometime. Like,
That'd be crazy, like just buying each other product and all that.
Yeah,
Oh, you
exactly,
do this
like-
card, let's go pick it up real quick.
like
you know?
oh, like I know that you're really excited for this product. Like, let me buy you a box, or you know, you guys. I mean, your girlfriend does that for you.
Even-
Man,
I
I can't even
I'm about
talk
to
about
say,
this. Your girlfriend fucking.
Even if you don't have a girlfriend that's playing, you know, that just supports you in general, like with you need a card or like just product or like some even sleeves, like oh you need some sleeves, like and
Yeah.
she'll get you. Like I think that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't know how common those are.
Yu-Gi-Oh girlfriends.
Yu-Gi-Oh
Yeah, probably
girlfriends.
not. We're probably completely alienating the entire base right now. A majority
Yeah,
of the base.
I probably know like 20 Yu-Gi-Oh players. I don't know.
That's no big deal.
Nah, nothing too crazy. I don't know.
All right, let's
That's
talk
cool.
about locals. Do you think that local?
Honestly, I miss locals. Just in general.
I know.
Just in general, just putting that out.
I mean,
I miss locals.
I saw the other day that Konami. Yeah, locals are great, man.
I know.
You see a lot of people you really like talking to. You see people you don't like talking to.
Yeah.
You see people you don't like smelling. You see, you know.
Smelling.
All right, you're gonna have to bleep that one out. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh's like really big right now. I don't know if it's maybe this whole COVID situation, but I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh got pretty big during this time. And I'm just hoping it just stays like that when we get locals and all that.
I mean,
back.
we've been seeing a lot more buyouts and cards
Yeah,
rise
people
in price
buying
a lot,
out.
just because of like.
For real.
Oh, that's the homie. He's playing
Hey,
the theme
Shooting a
music
video
for
over
us.
here.
Hey.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just hoping it stays. I feel like we're in a good state right now, Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm having fun.
Yeah,
I'm having
honestly.
a lot of fun. So
yeah, I
think
feel
it's
like
fun.
the game's been like, aside from the fact that there have been no locals and we haven't had any large scale tournaments in person.
Hey, we haven't had any like crazy like the last balance was like what was it? This like the Kanahawk and all that? Or was that the one before that?
I
That's
can't
when I bought like
remember,
Ritual
honestly.
Beast the bird at 3 and all that.
I mean that shit was on the fucking list for.
That's what I'm saying, but like we got like
long.
nothing got hit, and it
Yeah.
was just like they brought stuff back. But I feel like they did that to try to get like more players back, you know?
Yeah.
I think it worked, honestly. A lot of players came back. I feel like a lot of players like
Yeah,
don't know,
well, I mean,
just-
think about
cool.
in terms of like taking the break and like we've taken like me and you
yeah,
personally
we've
have
taken like
breaks.
breaks for like years, and then there's just something about this game.
Everyone just comes back, bro. It's like honestly,
Just having a small conversation about the game, you just think of like, dang, I used to really have a lot of fun, and then from there you just start looking up stuff.
well, I mean,
You
on
know?
top of that, like, let's say you run into one of your buddies
Yeah.
that you knew from locals or whatever. They're like, "Oh, do you still play?" And that's usually the first question after like you haven't seen them in forever. And like more often than not, they tell you, "Yeah, dude, like the game's really fun. I'm playing this deck." You're like, "Man, I kind of want to play again. I miss that." You know, you make friends. I feel like that lasts a really long time. I met you at locals. How many years ago? This is like
I don't know. I've known you for like 7 years.
it's been a really long time, and it's just because I met you at locals, man.
I don't remember what levels was it?
GMI.
Oh, GMI. Oh, GMI. I'm pretty sure a lot of people remember GMI. That was like the locals.
Yep,
Like,
in Riverside.
Like, in Riverside, bro.
Yeah.
Like, there a lot of good players would go there. A lot of good players.
Yeah,
That's good. I remember GMI.
but if you guys have any like thoughts, questions or ideas, subjects that we can go over. We already have a handful of like subjects that we
I
think
feel like
are
a lot
really
of people are
good
gonna say
ideas.
Banlist.
Oh,
That's 'cause
Banlist.
it's so close.
Yeah.
People are gonna want to talk about it for sure. Like I'm down to talk about.
I'm
it.
down to talk about Banlist.
I feel like
too.
this, because I feel like this one might be like a pretty big ban list, like something that's gonna get hit or something crazy to come back.
Well, I mean, like, do you think there's a possibility they can do again, like I said, what they did with
Or
like, the
they're gonna
Striker,
be like,
like the Striker and Colossus?
no, they
fucking-
could just because it's, Konami's is, it's like a weird thing, like a weird. I don't know how to explain it.
It
but,
was
like,
a really big, impactful ban
they might do
list,
that,
dude.
like how they won't like ban anything, just bring stuff.
But I mean,
back.
like, how are they going to do that when there isn't like actual events happening in
Yeah.
person too? And obviously, the ban list has been used primarily just to promote products.
Yeah.
And like we can see that when they unban a specific card and like, oh, look at that, there's legacy support coming out in like literally a week.
Didn't that happen recently? That's with the Phantom Knights,
Phantom Knight,
right?
exactly. They
Phantom
unbanned
Knights, yeah.
Rusty, and look at that.
I wish Phantom Knights were good. Sad times.
They're
It's like
actually a
fun
pretty
deck.
good rogue deck. I mean,
I think they're like another combo deck that can just be stopped so fast. It sucks.
yeah, a lot of the times what they're doing is like they're making the double. Oh, is it still going? Yeah. They're making the double fog blade plus nightmare plus
Yeah.
what's his name, Dragoon.
You just stop like Nibiru, like I don't know, get the Nibiru at the right time because they usually go for the Dragoon play.
Mm-hmm.
Nibiru is just a powerful card. I think it's a healthy card too.
We
love
need it
Nibiru.
just because I mean we don't have Maxi here
Yeah.
in the TCG.
I guess it's kind of the opposite. Like LCG uses Maxi, we use Nibiru, and they don't use Nibiru at all. I think.
Yeah. And again, it's that awkward thing where because we don't have Max C legal, combo decks are running around here in the TCG. But if we
Yeah.
did have Max C, you'd be in that awkward position where it's like, oh damn, like my opponent opened Max C against me and I legit just couldn't play.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's checks and balances here and there, and I'm not saying one way is right and the other way is wrong.
Yeah.
But I feel like there could be something done about it.
And I guess we just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
It's a couple more weeks. We get a new set, new ban list. I don't know. We'll see
Cool.
how it goes.
All right, man.